I'm afraid, Captain.
I make decisions.
Stormy weather.
Request denied.
I am a sentient organism living inside of a supercomputer.
I'm training to be a guardian.
Good.
So let's get creative.
Hello and good evening. It is Thursday, December 23rd, 2021, and we just finished watching the 6th episode of Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, Stormy Weather. I got a great panel that I'm in cat boots with here. I got Michael Chan with me tonight. How you doing today, Michael?
I am good. I was just watching The Witcher with my wife. She likes playing in my hair and ended up messing up so bad that I can't fix it. Thus, the bandana.
Hey,
I like it.
Very Hulkamania. We got Adam Woodward with us tonight. How you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good. I'm Dave Mader here on Live Long and Podcast, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. We are getting into this episode. It airs on, or streamed today on Paramount Plus, or in Canada, it's airing right now as we speak on CTV Sci-Fi. Jane is watching it live. So far, she said she's enjoying this episode, and she was only about halfway through. Guys, what did you think of this episode? Let's start with Adam.
This episode really, I loved it. I love this episode right from the start. I was engaged. It was fun. It was there was a lot of drama. There was a little bit of anxiety going on. I had it all. I liked it all.
Okay,
even the singing.
Even the what?
The singing.
Even the singing.
Stormy weather.
Michael Chan, what did you think of this episode? Were you a fan of the song "Stormy Weather"?
I was, and in fact, I was. I loved this episode because it really had a good balance of being connected to the major story arc of this season, while still being its own episode, having its own issue, having its own problem. So in that way, it felt like classic Trek and modern Trek, but with the best balance I have ever seen them pull off, like in this entire run so far. Like, this is the absolute best balance, and it's the way it should, in my opinion, always be. On top of that, I would like to point out that this episode also allowed for the bridge crew not only to have more dialogue, but more to do and a little bit of backstory. Like, we're still pushing that way. So it was just fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All great points all around. There's a lot to get into this episode. I would agree. I thought that this episode, I watched it a lot earlier today, and I kind of absorbed it throughout processed it throughout the day, which I thought was a bit of a different experience compared to when I watch it just shortly before the podcast. And I would agree that I was like, okay, so we learned a few more things about this DMA. They had set up the thing that whoever created the DMA is probably from outside of the galaxy, and they kind of they reference that a whole bunch more in this episode. So I was kind of really processing that. And there was a bunch of other just like strange, and maybe not strange is not the word. It's just unusual kind of takes in the directing of this episode. This episode directed by Jonathan Frakes, Commander Riker himself. A couple of things I in particular I want, that Stormy Weather song and just the whole use of that, and we get a lot of Star Wars questions in the chat on our Twitch.
We have a chat.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But they're off topic. So yeah. But so this episode starts with Michael Burnham opening her own family tree orb. We see kind of like the from the last episode in the recap that she had given the murder victim's daughter back that family tree orb, and she had created one for herself. And we see Ethan Peck Spock everywhere. He's littered throughout the tree, and then some other, Georgiou's there, and a few other people, Saru, I think. And so that was something she was kind of making for herself, and that's kind of part of the arc of the episode. And then she's talking to Book, and it's kind of like that whole fight, everything, all the tension over her not saving Felix. That's sort of kind of that's kind of cooled in the episode, and so that's they're moving past that. They're like, we've been through this, and it's fine. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's all right then. Why I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess we're moving on from that. And then he mentions it's his father's birthday, and his space dad will, or his ghost dad, I guess, if you will show up here.
No. It's not possible. You're dead.
You don't say.
Yeah, you never paid your respects, he says. But so that's set up here, and then he's like, what's going on with this DMA investigation? Why isn't it happening? Where are we going? Well, Discovery, we need to go outside of Federation space. We need to take this investigation a little further. And Captain Burnham's kind of like, listen, we're working on it. We've never done this before. We got to be a little bit careful. So the whole setup here, Adam, what
Dave? I mean, it didn't take long for that. I think they spoke longer than the whole setup actually took, which was great. It was a good entry into this episode because they had a lot to do. Like I said, it didn't take too long. I thought I was pleased with how it all went up, and again, just waiting for what's going to happen now. After that was a good recap, by the way.
Thank you. I was taking notes as I was going, so I'm kind of going back to my notes here. And then in the next scene, like it's Saru and Burnham, so they're doing the walk and talk. Even though they can beam anywhere instantly in the ship, sometimes you do that. He says we can't warp right now. We can't use the spore drive right now. Impulse only. Will be slower. But this whole Zora thing, that seems to be looming over the storyline, Michael. Can we trust this Zora who is now has emotional development? This is nothing to worry about. We all know about Skynet. We know about AI being sort of problematic. Are you giving Zora the benefit of the doubt that she's a benevolent AI?
I would assume so. I mean, they've dealt with the possible consequences of having an intelligent computer in this episode, I think. Will it come up again? Maybe. But at least we see that they can problem solve with it. Yeah. Adam, are you worried about Zora?
I'm wondering when they're going to give Zora an android body.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that might happen too. I could see that.
They already gave her that sexy little wave bar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's turned into a hologram, and we gotta talk. I think that there's because I felt like this episode may tie into the short that we got like so many years ago now, where they showed the Discovery sort of like adrift in space, and then it was like found in the future, and there was Zora there, and she was kind of having the whole romance with the other guy who kind of found the ship empty for a while. And I was like, is this during this period where they went through the dark matter and nebula? Anyway, so the bridge team gets called to the station, and then this is one of the parts I wanted to talk about with the Jonathan Frakes directing, where it was almost like comic book panels moving along. It was almost like Ang Lee's The Hulk from like 2003. I was like, I've never seen this before. It was almost like it was almost reminiscent of Star Wars, like wipe cuts and things like that.
Oh no! Don't bring up Star Wars. We have a commenter who's talking about Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that will get him going. But guys, what did you guys like that? Did you like the whole like?
I did.
I think that when you have when they're jumping, and the ship is like the whole flip of the thing, it just fits really well into how this show again looks. They're spending a lot of time on that part of it.
You can see here, like this is kind of part of what happens, and then it like moves along, and then the panels are, they're walk and talk and things like that, right? And so it's like very different. Like I was like, well, that's kind of at least you're doing something new. It's not like stationary. It's not just kind of the same.
It's a good way to show you more of the bridge crew, more people.
A lot of different angles and like visuals, especially with this bar that they're doing this season. Like because
fantastic.
They can put the camera in different places. It's a little bit new. It's a different take on Star Trek, really. in terms of just when I watch like Deep Space Nine week to week, or like these older shows that were just kind of like camera goes here, bridge is here. This is kind of how you shoot a show, and they kind of do that on the bridge here too. But when they're not on the bridge, it's kind of it's always moving around. Anyway, so they get called here, and then they need to go into this subspace tear. They're like, we got to find out if this can get us a lead. We're on the case here. There were a couple of gumshoes, and this is where they end up in the void. They go, it's a kind of it's quiet in there. There's no stars. Adam, I don't know how much Star Trek Voyager you've seen, but like there was quite a few times where the Voyager ends up in like a void. At least 3 or 4 episodes, they end up in like a void where there's no stars and there's no anything. This is kind of like that.
So when that happened on that show, I had to check my volume. Again, really well done, that transition. Like, I was, did I lose volume? But then, wait, we're in the void. Okay, I get it. That must be very eerie to them, when they always have noise and something going on behind them or stars, and then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, it was creepy, but it was almost like I've seen it before a little bit, like from like other Star Trek. But Michael, what was your sort of reaction?
First of all, it's if that's what they're going with, if Voyager is the inspiration, then I would say good. I mean, we haven't had Star Trek for a very long time until Discovery showed up, and then even then they didn't have a void episode. So this topic, I guess, was not something to be voided. But anyways, it was eerie when they first showed up. There's Adam shaking his head at my puns.
I love your puns, Michael. I love you every week.
Go on.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Yes,
yeah, he's like, well, at least he's engaging. Where he's
yes, you're correct. 7 of 9. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's been so long that it didn't bother me that they had a void episode, and it just, I felt it was a good way to add to the tension and the anxiety. I don't know, I really liked it, and it's a void that's closing in too. So
yeah,
that's cool. Well, almost, I felt like this was an escape room episode.
What about like the death of that robot?
Oh, that was.
Oh,
it was like screaming. They're like it's like sounds like a painful death. It was like so sad. This whole
and
thing.
It looks back at the ship, and you're wondering,
it's like, why did you send me out here to die?
That was like a very Star Warsian thing to do, but I loved it, man.
Yeah, and then just like sort of like I did like the shot, like the sort of the pan outs where you see just sort of like you see how far Discovery just is like in this void.
Yeah, that was
so small. This was
a
like,
very Battlestar Galactica thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Jonathan Frakes, man, give him a hand. He did a good thing with this episode. A couple good things.
An interesting thing was for us to realize how fast things can go in space, because they were talking about how many seconds it took to go. Like, it's quite a few kilometers.
Yeah, and then they realize it's shrinking, and then it's going to like come upon them in like 30
but like
minutes.
If you think about the dot, it didn't take long for it to get eaten up, right? And it's only what, like, was it 10? Did they ever make it? No, it never made it to 10 kilometers, or did it?
Not, I think maybe it was,
but it was only in a matter of seconds. That is like fast.
Yeah, it was but that they were starting to like, they're like, we don't know how to like back our way out of here. A lot goes on. They tried it, like after the credits, like, like, we got a problem solve here, people. We got, this is Captain Burnham, like, let's get creative.
So let's get creative.
And they're like, well, we could do this. And she's like, good.
Come on, people. Good. Come on, people. Let's get it together.
All right, then. Light it up.
Light it up. And so they decide to do like a flare, basically. And then that's how they figure out it's 33 minutes until it's going to shrink down on them. Okay, so then we get to Gray in the bar, all right? And Gray's like, hey, why is there a red alert? Hey, what, and Zora's like, well, you're not really you don't really have a job here, Gray. So like you're not required to do anything right now. You're just kind of meant to lay low.
Does Gray even like get clearance to know what's going on? I was surprised at that.
I think Gray's just like a passenger, right?
Yeah, but Zora was telling him everything.
Because Zora has emotions.
I guess it's not like the information is going to be harmful in his like hands, but
And it's not confidential.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it was just kind of like, well, what do you do? And so the computer's just like, well, okay, well, basically we're in a void, and I can't feel anything, but everything inside, I can, like, all the people inside the ship I can feel, but nothing on the outside. It's like I'm numb, or this is kind of a weird out of body experience, even though I don't really have a body. That kind of is coming up. Just like, I like the little moment where like, is that a joke?
Was that a joke?
If it was funny, then yes.
Yeah.
I love that too. I think honestly, this is leading towards us seeing what's going to happen with Gray. Like, this is clearly indicating that Gray's position in the ship is questionable because he's not an officer. He's training to be a guardian. So where does Gray truly belong? He's technically here in the same way that Book is, right? Because Book is with Michael, Gray is with Adira. So this could end up maybe with Gray temporarily departing, a la Tilly. And also, thank you. I like my bandana too.
Well, I think Gray, I don't know, there's a lot of things you could do with a civilian character on a ship. Like we've had different characters in Star Trek, like Guinan and even Quark and Neelix and others that, you can find ways to integrate non-Starfleet into the crew, but I don't know, like Gray as he relates to Adira is kind of this other thing that I don't know where that will go long term, because I think the fact that Gray is a previous host, but Adira really should kind of as a Trill, or like sort of a host of a Trill symbiote, we should be able to kind of explore that part of the character and kind of when I was this person, or when I was that person in this lifetime. And because Gray's here, I feel like it's almost in the way, because it's kind of like when Curzon was here in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was when he took over Odo's body for the Jintara.
Mm-hmm.
Like the difference between like Quark and Gray and even Book, like Quark had a job, he had a bar, like that was his, like he's Guinan, he had something to do. Mm-hmm. And I feel like every episode where you have to find something for Book and now Gray to do. And I still don't like that Book is so involved. Like with there's got to be other people on the crew that can do his stuff.
Book has a lot of influence on this ship.
Yeah,
he's pushing his agenda quite a bit.
Like
it seems like his agenda is not being listened to as much this episode.
Not as much as he wanted to, but he's always like,
but that's the thing.
Where are we going under the DMA? He's like, I have a hunter.
There's the tension, guys. Something is going to happen. I can feel the writing is there. I think they're pushing towards something, and I feel almost like him and Michael are going to really butt heads at some point.
Well, yeah, like it's definitely a tension there, and I don't know if it's sustainable. Like it will have to run its course, but after it does, then what? Is that are they going to be that note all the time, or is there going to be a reconciliation? That's what I'm sort of left wondering about.
I think we mentioned 2 episodes ago, or maybe 3, that Gray's going to leave the ship.
Maybe.
I don't know. After tonight, maybe not, because that was a pretty big episode with lots of lines. So, yeah.
I don't know. Like, we'll see. I don't know where Gray fits in yet. Maybe they don't know yet. Yeah. So then Burnham says we can't fly out. She aborts this mission where they're trying to fly it at one point. So they're gonna jump, and Book's gonna be I don't really remember the specific reason that Stamets can't do it. But he's like, I'll do it, and you do the math or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't work though. They get but
that scene again was so cool, because I like the way every time the ship jumps, I love it. The flipping of the saucer section, but like I said earlier, how they flipped Burnham upside down.
Yeah.
and she's just hanging there. Essentially, it was great.
It was not a pleasant jump. It was kind of like the ship was spinning, like, but not quite going. And they explained that the mycelial network doesn't quite work the way it should here. He got electrocuted, basically, is what they say. That's the layman's explanation. And then, but this is where Book's father, he shows up almost right after this. We meet the ghost of his father, who's passed. As mentioned, his birthday today, or on this episode. They didn't have a good relationship. His father was a poacher and a hunter, and versus Book, who was Book's not even his real name. That's like his adopted name. He doesn't even go by his birth name anymore because he kind of rejects this life. But and we get all this information like, well, I was forced by the Emerald Chain to be this poacher and whatever else. Anyway, so they ended on bad terms before his death, and so but he just kind of shows up and he's like berating Book almost for the entire episode. You didn't come to my funeral, huh? Hey, he's just like, I was like, I don't like you either, man. You're no wonder things didn't go so well. And Book's like, I'm nothing like you. It's kind of, a very classic kind of story. He reminded me a lot of like Ewan McGregor's father in Moulin Rouge, where it's like, you go to the village of Moumatra, it's a village of sin. You had like that kind of like clutching his pearls kind of vibe for me. So he was I don't know. Did he work for you? Did this whole angle, Adam, like, did you enjoy it between Book and his dad? No.
This is the weakest part of that for me anyway. But like I don't love Book. I think if Book joined Starfleet, I think I'd like him more. Okay,
you want him in the uniform?
I do.
Would he be a gold shirt or a blue shirt? I don't know. I think
he would be blue, I think.
Or a red. Maybe he'd be a red. Michael, your thoughts on this whole angle in the episode? Did you connect on it?
I think I liked it more than Adam, but I still agree that it is the weakest part of the episode. I understood the necessity for the particles in his brain to get the story going, in terms of where, like how they've solved everything in the end. But I also found that it wasn't working for me.
Okay, all right.
I can't put my finger on it. It's his belief. I think his believing that they're real in the end is understandable. It's a matter of faith, right? Like he's like, I hope you are my dad, because I hope that the other people who have died, that have lost, like. But I think at the end of the day, it might be just we're supposed to understand that it's a hallucination. Yeah, that's what it's playing. And so, like, the next scene, they go to sick bay, and there's we get Dr. Pollard. She's back. Sometimes joining Dr. Culber. He's gonna be better eventually, but for a while he's gonna be hallucinating. And then I liked this little bit between Burnham and Stanton. She's like, "What do I do now?"
So what now?
Now, science.
Now, science, whatever that means. He does some science talk. He shows the mycelial network. It's good. It's good. I like the special effects. I like this whole scene in the sick bay. We get back to Gray and Zora playing more games. And
sorry, Dave, did you catch that line that Stamets said? When they're describing what happened in the book, and he says, "It's like he hit a live wire."
Oh yeah, it was like if we still had wires.
If we still had wires.
Yeah. What do they have? Like EPS conduits, I guess.
I just thought of something. Okay, so I understood why they chose to have him hallucinate his dad. I think they're trying to give him more of a backstory. We got his real name, etc., etc., etc. I think for me, the hallucination would have been more powerful if it was his brother. Yeah. The one that actually died. Because that would be a more powerful indicator it's his subconscious, because it's not 100% equivalent to the man we met. Does that make more sense? Like if we had a brother who was mad at him for not.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, like I think I was okay with this more than you two guys were, because I thought that this was. I would rather have seen this than get another scene with his brother again, because we already. I know we met him a bunch of times, and so this was something new in his past. But
I don't know. It just something felt off about it. That's
Well,
all.
it's just the unresolved dad issues and all this. Sort
Yeah,
of
and that's kind of it's an old story too, right? We
Yeah.
but just back to Gray and Zora. They're playing like this game where it's a game they use for newly joined trills and their hosts.
that was kind of cool too. Like that again, something we've never seen before.
Yep.
Yeah, a whole new game.
New
Basically,
chess.
new chess. Playing with Zora, the super intelligent computer.
No
It was
more
kind of like
3D chess.
But they already have 3D chess in Star Trek.
No, I'm just saying we're not seeing it here.
It's war games.
Yeah,
It's
here,
a
got a
silly
shot of it
game.
here. Kind of cool
So
looking.
cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works exactly, but doesn't matter. This was in the episode quite a bit. Like they kept going over here, but and then she mentions like, oh well, I'm analyzing this thing on the hull breach or whatever, and she's like, well, you have to tell the captain right away. What are you doing? And then that's basically what she does. She calls up there and says, get like there's something about to happen. I get out there. I was like, it was almost like that it was like this Benzite ensign back in like Next Generation who was like, well, I can't tell you what to do unless I have a solution, so I didn't report the issue. But they're like, no, you're still supposed to report the issue. So that's what Zora does here with Gray's insistence. Good thing Gray was there for that. And so Ensign Gord or something like that, there was an ensign here who they while Dr. Pollard just happens to be nearby. Now, this is the part I didn't quite understand because the ensign here who gets sucked out, if I can find him, he could have just beamed out, right? And I think even the doctor says it at one point. She's like, just beam out really quickly.
I think my understanding of it was he was going for his badge, but right before he could touch it, he got blown out the airlock and he died.
Well, that force field goes up right before he's about to walk through that particular part of the hallway.
And then he gets sucked out. Like basically everything happens so quickly, his reaction time wasn't fast enough for him to actually tap.
Yeah, it happens very quickly. It was I thought it was a very fun like sort of action scene. People getting sucked into space. This was like many times I've seen it before, but it was fun. Adam, did you like this part of the action?
Yeah, I did. I never even thought about the beaming out. I just thought it was all part of the.
Here he is coming in, and like you can see, he's just trying to reach her. They're literally like 2 meters apart, not even probably.
The force field comes down pretty quickly.
That force field is just boom. Now Zora could have beamed him out. I didn't get that.
Yeah,
but she was overwhelmed.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, come on, they set that up, man.
I guess.
Even the captain. I mean, like, where was the bridge crew? Why didn't they get him out?
Yeah. This. Pollard yells like, "Beam out or do something!" And then they're like, "Hey, did Ensign Gord make it?" And they're like, "No, he didn't make it."
And then you saw again. I think it was this chance for Burnham to, well up, but get her composure back.
That's the shot right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he's like, uh-oh.
So
because he's like, I just need to fix this thing, and she's like, and the whole thing he's working on, I think, just blew up anyway. Like it didn't matter whatever he was doing.
He didn't do
what
anything.
Did you say his name was? Ensign Cortez.
Ensign Gord.
I thought it. I don't know. There is a. Sorry, I was just looking at the cast list, and the only one I could see here that might be that one is Ensign Cortez.
Yeah, I think it was Ensign Cortez. I wonder if he came from like the 23rd century or not.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I was just looking at who the actor is. It's Ivan Lopez. It's their 7th credit.
Okay, well maybe they did come from the past, just to die in the vacuum of the void. Not even in like normal space. Died in the void. Where it's not going so well. Yeah, so that like there's that whole kind of that's kind of like an emotional scene. And then Zora tells Gray about Zora's like basically feeling guilty, right? And Gray says goes to tell the captain like Zora is going through all these emotional issues. Zora says hello to the bridge crew. There's kind of like this introduction, and I think it kind of ties into later when Zora builds her own family tree thing, that she's kind of connected to all of these the crew very, very strongly. So it's like Zora is like a character in themselves in the show.
But sure, and that's what I don't think it's going to be a far leap for Zora to have a body.
No,
enjoying the crew.
Could happen, or it could be just be the computer. We'll see what they do with it, or
I haven't seen the short trek still, but I mean, she doesn't have a body then, right?
Well, she gets like a projection, and she dances like as a projection with the dude in that short trek.
Wait, was that short trek this then? I gotta go watch that.
It is this, yeah.
Oh my god,
get a body.
Isn't that book?
No, it's I always thought it was Book, but it's not Book. It's somebody else.
So that means that she does get a body of some sort.
Well, in that short, she had a moment with this guy who kind of finds the ship empty, and I thought, I'm like, oh, that must tie into when the ship was empty, because they all go into the pattern buffer to survive this thing at the end, which I thought was an interesting fix here too. For them to do in this episode. But like, just to kind of go through the episodes, we get more of the Ghost Dad. We learn more about the Qui-Gon Hunter's creed, blood for blood. You have to get revenge on the whoever created the DMA, basically. And he says his other name. What was his other name?
I couldn't even hear it properly, and I didn't have subtitles on, so
it is Terek. Terex. Yeah. He goes, I don't go by that name. We still don't know how he got the name Cleveland Booker, why he chose that name. I would like to know that at some point. How that got into it. But he goes, that's not my name anymore. And then there was this whole part where Joanna, Commander Washington, she kind of she's feeling like down about how the ensign Cortez, right, who died here. She's like, well, I need to go on some kind of a mission. I need to go down there and I need to try this or that. And he's like, no. Like, she's like, can I just thought he's like, no.
Request denied.
And then he's like, no debate.
It's too risky for the team. Is not a debate, Commander.
Everybody's a commander. When did I think
everyone on this bridge crew got promoted to lieutenant commander, so they're all just called commander, but they're all lieutenant commanders.
Can I say something? I noticed that this was her Reese-like moment. So last week we had the, I want to go on this mission, and then down there, this is what happened in my past, and then this episode, it's her turn. I want to do this, but instead of a yes, it's a no, and then later on, this is my past. But yeah. I like it. I know I'm kind of mocking it, but I actually like it.
Well, they were trying to do something with this character, I think.
It's great.
Give her something to do and to talk to, right? And then Saru's like, do you know what we need? We need a speech.
The uncertainty we are facing is deeply unsettling, but I believe we can meet this moment and do what needs to be done. Now, let us do what we can from here.
Hi, Mr. Saru.
And they're like, yep, Saru, we're with you. Let's do it. He gets the whole crew going here. And then Zora's feeling pretty guilty. She feels bad about the ensign. I think you should have beamed him out, but maybe you were doing it. You couldn't do it. You were dealing with issues, Zora. She's like, some good dialogue here. I thought with Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green played it pretty well. I thought a lot of these conversations here. And then, I missed that whole part. Anyway, sorry.
What? You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying that Burnham has got better in this season so far. I really do like her now. I found her a little annoying at the end of last year, and now I'm into her. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I think she's doing a great job. I think a lot of them are. I'm sad we've kind of lost Mary Wiseman in here because I feel like she's not here now, and I feel like
they tried to keep her in by showing her photo.
Yeah, sure.
In the hologram.
Do you find that there's too many characters in this?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, it's like we don't know enough about a lot of them. Like Commander Washington and Detmer and these other ones. We don't know a ton about them. I don't know if we need to. But it's while others get a lot more backstory, get interpersonal connections, the Culbers and the Stamets and Adira. They have a lot more going on. We know a lot more about their Gray and all of them, especially Book and Burnham now, I guess, on the show in particular.
you guys remember the episode from Next Gen where they focused on the ensigns, the lower deck guys?
The lower decks episode.
I think it was called Lower Decks.
Yeah,
that was a very good episode, and I for because it took away from the primary crew, and I would love an episode like that with this because there's so many.
There's a whole series. It's called Lower Decks.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
But I'm talking about the Next Gen one.
Yeah, or they could do a Lower Decks episode of this.
Yes,
just focus on the B team.
Well, all of the lieutenant commanders.
Yeah, the lieutenant commanders, like all 6 of them on that bridge.
Or how did Devin say it? Commander.
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 That is your real name or title. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was funny. Okay, yeah. So this whole thing where like basically Zora, who is I like how she mentions like I'm a super smart sentient computer.
I am a sentient organism living inside of a supercomputer.
Okay, my correction. But she's like, I'm having a moment. I need you to help me calm down. And Burnham's very good. I agree in all of this. It works. The scenes work, even though it's just her talking to a speaker, basically. And then Culber updates book. You're gonna stop hallucinating about an hour. They figure. I think they just say it again. The DMA must come from outside the galaxy. I thought we already knew that, but I wrote it here that they do mention this here again.
They did.
Okay. Here's my question: is this potentially from the Andromeda galaxy? Could it be the Kelvins from original series, Adam?
Yeah, sure. Anything can happen here, Dave. It can go any direction you want right now. Why not?
They're just like the DMA is from a group that's the Federation's never met, or have they? I don't know. Which one do you prefer, Michael?
I would prefer it to be something new.
Yeah, something new. Yeah,
completely new, and not a child's, crying,
and not a red angel,
and not a red. But I hope it's not some young other species child who's in distress and sending the DMA around randomly by accident because he's crying.
Didn't they do that last season?
That's kind of what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
you jerk.
Do that again. Yeah.
There's this whole like kind of apology scene later on between Weshikin and Saru, where she's like, I'm sorry for like wanting to do that really dumb mission earlier. And he's like, it's okay. And she's like, when I was younger, and I can't remember all the details of it, but he's like, you bore witness.
You bore witness, Commander. That is something. And I thank you for sharing your story with me.
If you just share your story, Saru is going to be super chill with you. He'll be like, listen, Lieutenant Commander, you're doing great.
He's such a good leader, man.
He is a good, yeah. He's so natural as captain and as first officer. He's like, I got this. I make this look effortless, with grace, with my arms flowing behind me.
He's also got to take on another prodigy because, Tilly's gone.
Yeah, no, Tilly here. Yeah, Tilly was kind of his underling, or his kind of his, his apprentice a little bit in some ways.
Yep. I mean, that was that role that goes back to season 3, and it was a very primary role. So it would be interesting to see who he connects with now.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so then there was emotions we feel. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the end of the episode. Everything happened. They had the sonar. They had this whole plan on the bridge to get the sonar out and use this old way to go. We talked about the stuff. Yeah. And then so then they figure out, we're gonna go into the pattern buffer to get ourselves out, like Scotty did on the USS Janolan.
I thought of that too. This is just like that tip of the hat to Relics.
To the episode Relics, which I want to do in radio theater in season 3. That's when. Yeah, Scotty. He put himself in. They're like, yeah, we have records of this. We have records of people putting themselves into transport buffers. I was like, it was Scotty. He invented this thing. Never gets enough credit, even though he gets a lot of credit. And so this whole idea that they to get out, it's gonna burn them up, and they won't survive it. And so Burnham's she can't. She's captain. She won't go into this pattern buffer. She's gonna try to put on an EV suit and stay on the bridge here.
Well, somebody should stay on the bridge. That was, again, it was good that they did that.
Yeah, well, it's also kind of like her job to, I don't know, like basically
Go down with her ship.
go down with the ship, and also just make sure that someone like if Zora doesn't work for whatever reason, that somebody's gonna like wake them up, and get them out of there. But eventually she has to kind of throw in the towel here and say, I'm not gonna make it through here. And so she's like, Zora, it's up to you. And so this is what I wonder, like how much time was potentially lost here between when they get through here and where they end up, because this would be almost the most convenient place to insert that short from all those years ago.
Fair. That is a good place to put the short track.
Because they could be like, I don't know, went through like a time vortex or something.
Discovery's pretty beaten up.
Oh my god!
Like when we saw it again, holy crap!
Yeah, so like it goes through this, and then she kind of wakes up in sick bay with Dr. Culber, and they say, we kind of made it. But we do see do I have that shot of Discovery? I'm sure I do. Oh,
yeah. While we're just while you're pulling that out, I just got to say, because like I was watching the that scene you were pulling up there, that's a lot of practical effects. I think I know they have a lot of CG, but a lot of those fires, the sparks and all of that, those look real this episode.
Yeah, like they had those effects going on the bridge for like,
and that's a lot of stuff to rig. So kudos to them.
I think it comes back. It keeps coming back to how good this show looks.
Yes, yeah. Agreed. Like it does look amazing. Everything about it, like just the action, the way, not always the story. I think like most of the time, like the things I'm questioning are like story, or do I know enough about? Am I connecting enough with these characters enough yet, or are these? Sorry, here it is. It's a while to get to it, but yeah, this is how the ship looks like Swiss cheese here by the end.
Yeah, it is wrecked.
Yeah, they're putting together, but then this was like, hey, we got programmable matter, pretty amazing. We're gonna have this whole thing rebuilt in no time. If that's the case, then like building ships and like all this technology seems incredibly easy. It seems like anybody can have a ship, right?
But they can't reproduce Discovery.
No, not Discovery, but all the other starships. Like what makes them unique, or what makes them special?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Just
Can you imagine they're putting back together a relic essentially?
Well, yeah, basically they even gave the Discovery like the prefix NCC 1031A in season 3 because they basically, it's like the ship of Theseus kind of like how much of the original Discovery is still there, like basically just
I know. I'm just saying it's interesting that they've kept the main theme of it. I'm not saying they should change it because it's obviously you need the same ship in the show. I just find it interesting that no matter how many it's really beat up here. For all intents and purposes, they could make major modifications to it to make it closer to their modern ships, right?
Yeah,
but they're gonna keep it, which is cool.
Well, yeah, because it's unique and it has this technology they can't replicate easily. Even though that that Ryzian guy, what's his name, Tarka.
Oh yeah,
Tarka. Yeah.
Mashed potatoes and a pea.
Mashed potatoes and a pea. That guy. He's trying to figure it out. But yeah, for right now, this is like one of the most valuable assets that all the Federation still has, even though it's 900 years old. And then we have Book and Saru talking at the end. He's talking about his whole bloodlust thing here, and and Saru's like, I still want to get revenge on those Baul guys who killed my parents, even though but it's been 900 years since all of that too, and like his planet has made peace in this time. Those two species have kind of moved past those issues, but he's like, I still have to kind of work out those issues, and he's like, so do you, Book. So it's kind of interesting how all these characters have to keep or are choosing to give each other advice, learn from each other. But
the difference again, Saru is the wise leader here because he shares just enough with his people so they can identify and connect, but he's also at the same time he's very controlled, and this is the first time we've ever seen this kind of anger other than him yelling last week, I think. But
right, where's that?
I still love that scene so much. Oh, one of my favorite moments this season.
Yeah, that was something. With this Wookiee cry. Yeah, so this is I think the ending of the episode.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, you gotta work on it every day. And
So- Sorry, I was reading today. You guys were chatting. Did you say? And I may have missed this tonight. That we're on pause again after next week.
So the next episode is going to be the mid-season finale. They just announced today on their Instagrams, and then they're coming back on February 10th.
That makes sense though, because I think that's because Star Trek Prodigy comes back in January.
Yeah.
So it's I don't think they want these shows overlapping too much on the Thursdays that they
would
release
like
on.
to say, I mean, I'll say it again next week, but I'll say it now for any of our listeners that my wife is pregnant. Our child is too on Valentine's Day. Thank you. So should he arrive early, or I'm in the hospital for whatever reason with my wife, I apologize, but I won't be joining you.
Of course, we understand.
Unless I join you
You
from
got
the
to be
hospital.
there.
Adam and I can keep
Thank
things
you.
going here, and we'll see
Bye.
who else may want to join us in your place. But hopefully Ashley can make it back by then too.
Yeah, I hope so.
We're all thinking about
Missed
you
you,
actually out there. Anyway, oh, sorry. There was one last thing we didn't mention about the ending of the episode was I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but Zora made her own family tree.
I love that.
That was so great.
That was amazing.
Yeah, this whole kind of like this character. Will she get a body? We'll see. Okay.
I'm thinking yes. I'll be disappointed if she doesn't.
Or in some, at least a holographic body that she can kind of like not just be a voice. Okay,
Robert Picardo.
Yeah. Let's rate this episode and get. I don't have any specific fun facts to get into here.
Stormy weather.
Would you like to hear a song,
And
Dave?
I can't get myself together. I'm weary all the time.
Internet Movie Database gave it a 5.
They did as of right now.
What is going on with these crazy fans?
It's only 181 votes. Has it changed since I last
Jesus.
checked it? It's still
Come on, guys.
Okay. Well, we can bring it up.
Let's do it.
I like this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of the season so far. So I'm going to go 9.
Yeah. 9.5. That's
9.5.
right.
Michael's even going higher.
I'll stick with a 9 as well.
9 out of 10. This episode gets a 9.2 aggregate. Pretty good. That is, as you imagine, the best of the season. That's our best since the season 3 finale. Yeah, good job, Frakes. Good job, Riker. Way to go. And it was a solid episode. And so we do get an episode next week, you're saying.
We
Michael.
do.
I'm sure we don't know the title of that yet. But what do you guys think where do you think we'll go next? What would be your theory, Adam? What would be the are they gonna
they're going to keep going on this theme. They have to, because if it's a mid-season finale, it's going to be the ship will be in peril. You watch. Yeah.
Oh, the episode name is out. It's called But to Connect.
Ooh.
And we don't have to speculate because here's the little synopsis. Tensions rise as representatives from across the galaxy gather to confront the threat of the dark matter anomaly. Zora's new sentience raises difficult questions. So we're gonna get like some scenes with like President Rillick and President Tarina. And we're gonna get probably whoever else is involved, whoever's the head of state or whoever we've met before. Hello, Kitty.
Tarka's coming back.
Tarka's probably there. There's anybody. Vance will be there, I'm sure. And then, so maybe they're gonna talk about Zora because of everything, the history with Control. And the fact that Control was such this menace in the past that like artificial intelligence has to be sort of taken seriously. But she says she's an alien organism, not a artificial intelligence, right?
But I don't understand something. What's the difference between this and Data?
I was gonna say we're in Picard. They're having problems with. Again, I haven't watched season 2.
Yeah,
no,
in season one, yeah,
they
they have like this ban on synths. They call them like the data because there's been all these issues with them.
So I guess what would that make Zora?
Well, maybe that's part of what the debate's about. I'm not really sure if President Tarina or President Rillick's gonna get up there and go, we can't have this this emotional computer on Discovery. It's a threat in some way.
I would assume the logs from this mission would show that Zora can be, I wouldn't say compromised, but at least, I mean, she has to focus, right? Or else she'll be overwhelmed. So that could be a liability. The whole point of a ship's computer is for it to be a ship's computer and not a sentient being. If a ship is sentient, then it has potential to be liable, like a liability, and potential to be swayed in the
right. And we have enough emotion in this crew, right? So yeah, you do need that, non-emotional part of this, but clearly not.
I want to see what questions they raise about the sentience.
That was very compelling, Michael. I think that you should be in the episode where you're debating like the rights of Zora.
I would love to be in this show. If
Measure of a Man.
Ask me.
Well, hey, like one day, season 5. Here we come.
One of these days, yes.
So this will be next Thursday, December 30th. That episode will come out. But to Connect is the name of it, and we'll be talking about all that then. And that will be between now and then. It's Christmas, so Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and all the season's
people. Greetings
to everybody out there. It's been a heck of a year, but we still have a few more podcasts here in 2021 to go. Check out our other stuff here on Star Trek, our Star Trek show, Star Trek channel, Live Long and Podcast. Sorry, it's been a long one. We have on Monday nights Star Trek Enterprise rewatch podcast with Jody Simpson, Adam Woodward, and Kevin Millard and myself. Just got into season 1. We just talked about Strange New World. Next week, it's Expect the Unexpected. Trip is pregnant. What? Who would have thunk it? And then over on D Space 9 at 9ish every Tuesday night, Jeff Mader leading the crew over there, watching all the D Space 9 ones. We're now into season 4. We just watched To the Death the other day. We're going to be watching The Quickening next week, which is where like the Jem'Hadar release a terrible plague, a terrible disease upon this planet. Whoa. If only we knew about diseases and pandemics and things like that.
Never ends.
Never ends. And then we also, of course, we're coming to Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Prodigy will return in the new year once Star Trek Discovery goes on hiatus, and we'll be returning with Jessica Chan and Davin Skellhorn to talk about those episodes as we had been earlier in this year, as well as we talked about Star Trek Lower Decks season 2 in this year. And if you haven't checked on that, we have companion podcasts to go with all of that, plus litany of other things. And we just did our Star Trek Radio Theater on Sunday night. You can listen to the live recording on our YouTube channel or Facebook. I was Picard, Adam was
Commander.
And then Michael Chen was like the Lon Chaney of Star Trek Radio Theater, just played all the different characters.
That was fun.
So check that out. We'll also have an edited version I'll probably work on over the holidays as I have some free time. And you can check out our other channels. Most notably, coming up next week, we have Trivial Debates on Monday. We're doing it Monday because it's after Boxing Day. December 27th, we got Max Duda hosting a special Christmas themed episode. We got Adam Woodward from this podcast, as well as my son Eamon and my second cousin Davin Skellhorn, all competing to talk about a whole bunch of things. I'm most excited about the TV question. What is the best Doctor Who TV special? So if you want to hear them debate that and a whole bunch of other things.
There was a debate yesterday going on about it, Dave.
Yeah, there was a whole thing in the chat. Like, what do you mean? How could you pick that? Well, I would think personally this. So yeah, there's already passion coming into this early. A whole bunch of different things. Check that out next Monday, December 27th, 2021. Plus, we also have Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, which is our channel where we talk about stuff that's not related to Star Trek, but it's also movies and TVs. Most notably, we talked about Spider-Man No Way Home for about 3 hours. I did that with Davin Skellhorn, Eamon, and Jaemeel Robinson.
Was that good? Should I go see that?
I would recommend Spider-Man No Way Home. Very good movie.
I will find a way to see it not in theaters.
However you can see it, I would recommend getting to it because it was
hopefully they put it on streaming. I know they said they wouldn't, but I mean with the pandemic the way it is, I hope they put it on Disney Plus because I have that. And I'm even willing to pay extra to see it on Disney Plus.
There you go.
The movie would cost you more, right? So
yeah, I know. However,
if I get 2 tickets, it'll cost less.
I hope you can see it because it was great. We'll be talking about Hawkeye soon. I'm just trying to figure out when Jeff's gonna be able to binge Hawkeye so we can talk about that. But it was really good season 1. We're going to try to get a podcast in about that.
We've seen 2 episodes.
2 episodes, really good. It's
Jessica
Christmas
and I,
themed. It's the whole thing takes place at Christmas. So
We'll see if Jessica and I can push, and I don't know if we can. We'll join you.
Oh, great. Well, hey, we can work that out because I'd like to do that sooner than later because I just watched that yesterday. That wrapped up yesterday. And what else? We talked about Big Brother. We talked about Canadian and American seasons this year. And then we just recently wrapped Survivor season 41, talked about that whole season. We had a Canadian winner. Can you believe it? I guess I spoiled the season, but you're not here for that probably. And then also check out Davin's podcast. It's called Locutors of Trek. He has Locutors of Trek, and he also has the X-Men X-Rated podcast where he talks about X-Men the animated series. Check those ones out. Plus my son Eamon's podcast, Let's Talk About Fighting Games, where you can find on Spotify or wherever you get your audio.
I have a podcast too.
And Michael Chan has a podcast with Alex Blackburn called
The Hellbound Podcast. It's a horror podcast that now has a radio drama in every single intro to the show. So it's just a continuing series.
And where can we find that, Michael?
It is on every podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, everywhere.
Excellent. Well, hey, way to go. And, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. We thank you for joining us for this recap of Stormy Weather. I think what we need to go out on.
Yes, please.
I love a song.
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky.
This goes on for a while.
Stormy weather since my man and I ain't